Cek 1 2 cek.
Tes 1 2 3, cek 1 2 3, tes 1 2 3.
Cek, 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 satu, satu.
Recording in progress.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning. I would like to welcome you all to this ASEAN High Performance Computing HPC School 2023. It is an honor for me, Berlian Irawan, to stand before you and extend a warm welcome to all of you in this very important event. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for Indonesian national anthem. ASEAN Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, our first agenda is the opening session. Without further ado, I would like to invite the National Kosti Chair of Indonesia, Dr. Budiastuti Ontowirjo, giving the welcoming remark. Please give her a warm round of applause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning. His Excellency Sujiro Sim, the Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN. Professor Satoshi Matsuko, Director of RIKEN Center for Computational Science, Japan. Good morning. Dr. Fabricio Garriardi, Senior Strategy Advisor, Barcelona Supercomputing Center, Spain. Good morning. Colleagues from the ASEAN Secretariat on the STI's divisions, esteemed expert from European Union, Japan, and ASEAN member states, Dr. Budi Prawara, the Head of Research Organizations for Electronics and Informatics BRIN, distinguished participants and HPC Task Force. Ladies and gentlemen, first I would like to extend a warm welcome to this Asian HPC School 2023 at KST Soekarno Cibinong. KST is a science and techno area. We call it KST. I'm grateful for the presence of all of you here, especially the speakers, lecturers, who have taken your valuable time to share your expertise and experiences to participants from ASEAN's member states. We have here the 10 ASEAN's member state participants. Excellence, ladies and gentlemen, HPC is increasing use to solve complex problems in our society. HPC helps engineers, data scientists, designers, and other researchers solve large complex problems in far less time and at least cost than traditional computing. HPC reduces physical testing. HPC could be used to create simulations, eliminating the needs for physical tests. Scientists from the ASEAN's regions have followed the trends and harnessed their knowledge and skill of HPC from various institutions. EU and ASEAN initiated discussions regarding to the importance of increasing access to HPC to EU and ASEAN researchers and scientists. From this, the Asian HPC School was envisioned, the first regional HPC school in ASEAN that cooperates with European and international experts. The first one, the first EU ASEAN HPC school was held virtually at that time in July 2021, followed by the second HPC school in Kasartat University, Bangkok, Thailand, in December 2022. And today, this ASEAN HPC School 2023 is the continuations of EU ASEAN HPC School that will be held in in our regions. This school will be held from today, 11th of December, until 16th of December 2023. Here in Soekarno Science Techno Area, or call it KST, Kawasan Science and Tech, Cibinong, Bogor, Indonesia. It is a 5-day school which provide introductory and then 3 tracks on the applications of HPC. Number 1 is about the life science. Second, earth science, and then the third is computer science. These 3 tracks are important for all of us. We have received more than 300 applicants, a lot, yeah, from ASEAN member states. The high enthusiasm from applicants due to the high credibility of the speakers and lecturers in the HPC from European Union and Japan, also having temporary access to supercomputer Fugaku Japan. Thank you very much for this opportunity. By having a lot of interest participants and increasing needs for more precision analysis in many fields of research and innovations, this HPC School 2023 is a starting point of conducting HPC school in Indonesia. We are ready to become a hub of collaborations and continuing conducting the Asian HPC school in our KST in years ahead. We have here Deputy for Human Resources in Science Tech, Representative Pasasa. Thank you very much for coming. This deputy will have a task for capacity building for researchers mobility program, as well as to conducting the supporting the HPC in the years ahead. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope through this ASEAN HPC school, participants have the opportunity to improve and deepen knowledge on utilizing HPC and expand global networking. Networking is very important. Like we know that HPC can be as used in anywhere. So for example, like today's, these 5 days schools, we connect to Fugaku, so meaning that it is more like connecting, it's a kind of networking. And then we can also expand this networking to other international cooperations. Like this morning, we have already discussed, we opened these cooperations with South Korea. We have discussions already. I would express highest appreciations for the support European Union missions to ASEAN through IREDI. Thank you for IREDI. And the missions of Japan to ASEAN, especially RICON Center for Computational Science. Without the support of European Union and Japan, ASEAN HPC School 2023 would not be possible like this. And would like also to thank to Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Agency of Indonesia, BMKG, and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of Indonesia. We have here all the campuses or the institution, university have already joined these activities, which hand in hand with BRIN in developing the HPC ecosystem. And last but not least, I would acknowledge the sponsor for contributions for this Asian HPC School 2023, Lenovo. Thank you, Lenovo. AMD, Snyder, Cadit, NSS, NVIDIA, and Technologica. Thank you for your support. I hope that this HPC school will be productive and engaging, leading to advanced learning and collaborations. Thus, it could bring substantially result in the development of HPC in ASEAN. Thank you very much. And I wish everyone a memorable and valuable time during your stay in here in Indonesia. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Santi 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 Om.
Thank you, Dr. Budiastuti Ontowirjo. Esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the next opening remark, please allow me to extend our apologies since Dr. Kaukim could not join us in person today. But we have a pre-recorded message from the Director of the Sectoral Development Directorate, Dr. Kanchana Wanikorn.
Excellency Dr. Handogo Trilaksana, Chair of the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Science, Technology and Innovation for Indonesia, Chairman of the National Agency for Research and Innovation of the Republic of Indonesia's BRIN, Excellency Mr. Sujiro Siam, the EU Ambassador to ASEAN, Dr. Satoshi Matsuoka, Director of RICON Center for Computational Science at Japan, Excellencies, distinguished speaker, esteemed HPC school participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here today on behalf of Dr. Kao Kim Hwan, Secretary General of ASEAN, to give the remarks for this event. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to ASEAN COSTI, particularly to BRIN Indonesia, for hosting the ASEAN HPC School this year. Our appreciations also go to the EU through the Enhanced Regional EU-ASEAN Dialogue Instrument, or EREDI, and Ragam Center for Computational Science Japan, supporting the HPC School since 2018. Today marks the opening of the third HPC School. Over the next 5 days, 70 selected participants from 10 ASEAN member states will immerse themselves in the fundamentals of HPC system design and applications, guided by international experts in HPC technology. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the World Bank indicates the global digital economy accounted for 15% of GDP in 2021, set to double by 2030. In ASEAN, the digital economy is forecasted to triple from $300 billion in 2021 to 2030. Yet, despite ample opportunities, the ASEAN Digital Integration Index revealed the region lagging behind in digital skills and talent compared to other Asia-Pacific nations, highlighting a need for substantial improvement. To accelerate digital transformation, ASEAN leaders have outlined a vision for ASEAN's digital economy and endorsed the Bandar Seri Vega 1 roadmap in 2020. This roadmap serves recovery and the ASEAN Consolidated Strategy on 4IR. The upcoming Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or DEFA, will drive ASEAN digital transformation, particularly by enhancing human resources, aligning with the objective of the HPC School. Likewise, ASEAN sees HPC as vital for scientific, industrial, and societal progress, driving resilient economic growth. An envisioned ASEAN shared HPC facilities will enhance regional HPC capacities for all member states. Acknowledging the COVID-19 HPC ecosystem study, we anticipate recommendations to improve the ASEAN HPC ecosystem and bolster ASEAN-EU collaboration in HPC. This collaboration isn't just for addressing COVID-19, but also for future pandemics and emergencies like climate change. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this speech our HPC ecosystem in ASEAN. First, ASEAN HPC ecosystem must involve leading in emerging technologies like AI, cybersecurity, and quantum computing. Second, we must prioritize practical applications such as greener supercomputing, cross-regional collaboration, and supporting EH.
Okay, give the applause to Dr. Kanchana Wanikorn from the opening remark. Okay, the next opening remark, I will invite the Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN. Please welcome Mr. Sujiro Sim.
Selamat pagi. Thank you. You understood. Madam Vice Chair of BRIN, the Director of the Riken Center for Computational Science of Japan, Madam the Head of Division of Science and Technology at the ASEAN Secretariat, the Director of the High Performance School, and other dignitaries, all protocols observed. My name is Sujir Sim. I'm the ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, and I live in Jakarta. So this morning I had the pleasure of traveling from Jakarta to Bogor. My first time here in Bogor. Actually, I should come more often, because from my home to my office, sometimes it takes longer than traveling from my home to Bogor. Also, this area is much greener than Jakarta. It looks like a gigantic golf course. And speaking of golf course, I have a story to share with you, because most of you are scientists, right? Those who are not scientists in the room, please raise your hand. Guilty. I'm a diplomat and I started my career as a lawyer. So I'm going to share with you a short story before I deliver my speech. A lawyer, a diplomat, and a scientist walk into a bar after playing golf. This is Bogor, golf course. So they were complaining because there was a team ahead of them which was very, very bad at playing golf. No one could hit the ball, and when they hit the ball, they didn't find the fairway. Of course, they didn't put any ball in a hole. So they discussed with the bartender and told him, what's wrong with this team? So he tells them the story of the team. It's a team of firefighters. They were all blind because they fought a fire, and unfortunately, they became all blind. So the lawyer says, oh, I'm going to sue. I'm going to get a very good compensation for all these firefighters because they deserve it. The diplomat says, no need to take a court case. I'm going to negotiate a very good package for them. And the scientist says, oh, I'm going to see the team of firefighters and ask them to play at night. Because of course it makes no difference if they are blind. And that's the most rational conclusion you could reach. Okay, the real speech is that today I want to share with you a little bit about the digital revolution, and then about high-performance computing, and finally about this high-performance computing school. So the digital revolution first. I don't need to be very long, because on behalf of ASEAN, you heard what it is about. But let me just say that it is a priority of the European Union, as embedded in the strategy of the European Union for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. It is also a priority initiative we have on global gateways to improve digital connectivity. On the ASEAN side, it is, of course, a part of the master plan of ASEAN on connectivity. Between ASEAN and the European Union, we agree this is a priority in the joint connectivity statement of 2020. It is also a priority in the joint leaders statement and the plan of action for 2023-2027, which are both endorsed at the 45th anniversary commemorative summit, which took place in Brussels a year ago. And it is implemented by the European Union through our sustainable connectivity package, which is an additional investment from the European Union of 60 million euros in the partnership between the European Union and ASEAN on economy, trade, digital, transport, but also people-to-people connectivity. So in a nutshell, my first message is that don't lose sight of the fact that when you're working on high-performance computing, you're working on the digital revolution, and this is one of the cornerstones of the engagement between the European Union and ASEAN. Let me say a few words about high-performance computing, and I'm not an expert, so I will not embarrass myself and tell you, the experts on high-performance computing, what it is about. But let me just share with you that high-performance computing is now an endeavor from the European Union as well, with the European Union high-performance computing joint undertaking, that things are accelerating with artificial intelligence nowadays. We were just discussing with Aldo, the leader of the e-Ready initiative, how the European Union is making headway on that particular field with this weekend a compromise reached between the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, who are the lawmakers of the European Union, on the first ever Artificial Intelligence Act. High-performance computing is accelerating also because technology is progressing at a very fast pace. We were experiencing pre-exascale computing, and now we are at the exascale computing. We will have this new generation of computers in Germany next year and in France the year after. We have supercomputers in Southeast Asia as well, here in Indonesia, but also in... So science is progressing very, very fast. And it is good because we need science. If we can meet face-to-face today, after virtual high-performance schools before, it's because fortunately we found a vaccine against COVID-19 and now we can meet again. But we were able to find a vaccine against COVID-19 in a very, very fast time frame because high-performance computers assisted in that research. So let me finish with this high-performance computing school. The vice chair of BRIN already indicated that this one is the third of its kind. The first one was at the time of COVID-19 and it was virtual. The second one was in Thailand and it was face-to-face and it was 76 participants. This time it is 84, so this is a little bit of an increase, around 10% increase, and I don't need a high-performance computer to calculate that. This is the third time we do it, and when I say we, it's the Enhanced Regional European Union ASEAN Dialogue Initiative. You heard e-Ready like 4 times already, but if you were just wondering what e-Ready stands for, that's what I've just said. Enhanced Regional European Union ASEAN Dialogue Initiatives. This is an investment from the European Union of 20 million euros in 34 sectoral dialogues between ASEAN and the European Union in sectors and areas and themes where we believe that working together will yield the fruits for a better future between us. And this is the reason why e-Ready supported these high-performance computing schools. It is also in recognition of the talents which exist in this region on high-performance computing. You are these talents, so you need support. But fortunately, you have enough talent to allow you to fly by yourself. So inasmuch as the European Union, through e-Ready, served a little bit like the business angel of the high-performance computing school, now the time has come for ASEAN as a region, as a grouping of 10 fast-growing economies in Southeast Asia, to take full ownership of the high-performance computing school. This is the reason why I was extremely happy to hear the vice chair of BRIN confirming that moving forward, Indonesia, on behalf of ASEAN, will continue with the next editions of the high-performance computing schools. This is extremely important because this is the whole sense of this partnership between the European Union and ASEAN. It is not meant to stay forever with the same focus. It is really meant to allow you to take off the ground and then fly by yourself. So today is not only the opening of the High Performance School 2023, this is also a symbolic handover to Indonesia on behalf of ASEAN, with a plea from me and my team to continue to involve all the 10 ASEAN member states in this area, which is crucial for our future. So let me thank the Ministry for Education, Research, Culture and Technology, and the Agency for Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics. I have your app on my phone. Huh? I hope it won't send me an alert today, because this is the app which tells you everything bad happening in this place. Earthquake, volcanoes, flooding. So please keep the app quiet and let us enjoy the end of this wonderful ceremony this morning. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sujiro Sim. And next, we will continue handover of the ASEAN HPC School from the European Union to ASEAN. And I will invite again Mr. Sujiro Sim and the Head of Science and Technology Division ASEAN Secretariat, Dr. Zurina Mokhtar. And please, the symbolic book from the European Union to ASEAN.
This is smaller than I thought.
Give applause. Thank you, Mr. Sujiro Sim and Dr. Zurina Mokhtar. Please be seated again. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is keynote speech and launching ASEAN HPC School 2023, and I would like to invite the Chairman National Research and Innovation Agency BRIN, Republic of Indonesia, represented by Deputy Chairman for Research and Innovation Policy, to give applause Dr. Budi Astuti Ontowirjo.
Thank you. I will read the keynote speech of the Chairman of BRIN, His Excellency Laksana Tri Handoko, today. His Excellency Mr. Sujiro Sim, the Ambassador of European Union to ASEAN, National Costi Chair of Indonesia, and Dr. Budi Prawara as Head of Organizations Research for Electronics and Informatics BRINs for conducting this activity, as well as Parifki. Thank you very much. And then Dr. Kau Kim Horn, Secretary General of ASEAN, in here representing by Dr. Zurina Mokhtar, ASEAN Secretariat. Honorable keynote speakers, distinguished ASEAN's HPC School lecturers, all invited participants and guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. On behalf of the National Research and Innovation Agency of the Republic of Indonesia, or BRIN, I would like to extend our warmest welcome to all participants to the ASEAN's HPC School 2023. On these occasions, Indonesia, through BRIN, is proud to be the host of the ASEAN HPC School 2023, which is a continuation of the two previous schools in 2021 and 2022 held in Thailand with the title of EU ASEAN HPC School. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, high-performing computing infrastructure plays important role in research right now, especially in the ability of computing in high-degree computing, such as petascale, Mr. Ambassador, sorry, petascale or exascale. The HPC then can model and simulate such higher precisions for the respective field, such as, number one, molecular modeling and simulations. This is very important, like Mr. Ambassador mentioning about we need the computational, precision computational for finding mechanisms to combat the COVID-19. HPC could help new drugs discovery with much precision and efficiency. The second one, digital twin of Earth behavior. HPC school could help of climate science. And the third one, the biggest one, artificial intelligence. The progress of AI technology also depends on the availability of the HPC infrastructure itself. Generative AI technology and capability to process very high parameter models and also big data sets require HPC system to process it. Therefore, directly and indirectly, HPC enable research communities and in the end, to the general society in everyday life, from finding new materials in material science, precision medicines through omics data analysis, in silico drugs discovery, digital twin of Earth for weather and climate science, urgent computing in time of natural disaster, and every AI-assisted applications in our daily life activity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, ASEAN has made significant progress in the field of information and communications technology. ASEAN member states have leveraged technology to improve food science, in here food security, such as the use of precision agriculture, mobile technology, remote sensing, drone, and big data analytics. In addition, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and 5G have also become the main focus of technology development in ASEAN. Human resource play important role in building capability and skill needed to face future challenges. Likewise with ASEAN in general and Indonesia in particular. As mandated by the President of Indonesia, human resource development toward the era of technology and information is the current top priority. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to enhance human resource in research and innovations, especially in the field of computing, BRIN provides various facilitations programs that can be utilized by researchers, BRIN, and parties such as academics and industries. For example, number one, we have researchers mobility program that can be utilized by researchers and students through research assistance program, thesis and dissertations guidance, as well as inbound visiting researchers and postdoctoral programs. Second, we facilitate excellence and experienced researchers to be able to work together in research groups for topics in AI, big data, computational program, such as biodiversity and satellite imagery. This includes research in the field of bioinformatics for precision medicines and drugs discovery. Likewise, the provisions of HPC infrastructures, which we are currently focusing on BRIN Sukarno Science and Technology area in here, Cibinong, and also the use of HPC infrastructure through an open platform of ELSA infrastructure services. ELSA is a ELSA is electronic, yeah, e-service on science managed by BRIN. The use of infrastructure in the framework of research collaborations is one of our efforts to strengthen computing capacity. On these occasions, we also convey our plan to be able to launch a targeted scholarships program in the field of high-performing computing. The target of the scholarships is to grow critical mass in the related field. Scholarships is targeting to pursue doctoral degree. So the participant in here who also try to pursue doctoral degree, it is kind of opportunity. The degree can be utilized at some leading university or institution abroad. In these occasions, I would like to invite RICAN Japan and EU institutions such as Barcelona Supercomputing to become our partners now and the future. Excellency, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, in this program, I'm pleased to have outstanding scholars and practitioners as school lecturers to share your insight across area of HPC. We have also interactive interview with ACM Turing Award recipients, Dr. Leslie Lamport. This is a big opportunity for all of you to discuss with him tomorrow. This award is equivalent to Nobel Prize for computer scientists. I strongly believe these enlightening lectures could inspire our scholarly endeavors to advance the knowledge on HPC. The expected outcome of the school is students to get exposure to the HPC environment. Students are expected to be able to understand the research context and get experience in planning and executing related software programs in HPC system. Furthermore, I expected that ASEAN HPC School 2023 will give a platform for young researchers or scientists in ASEAN for fostering research and getting prospective collaborations between researchers in ASEAN countries, EU, Japan, related to high-performing computing. Distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of who have contributed to make this school successful. Let me mentioning here, supporting from BMKG, from Kementerian Pendidikan Kebudayaan Riset Teknologi, and from our supporters here, thanks to IREDI, and RICAN Japan for the supporting and facilitate our lectures, and all of parties who have made this school excellent. Finally, I emphasize the importance of continuations of the school and make Indonesia as a hub for HPC capacity building in our KST, Science Techno Area or KST. And then BRIN is ready to support this. Now I open this ASEAN HPC School 2023. I wish you all successful and then actively participate in the 6 days of school activity. Thank you. Stay safe and healthy. Dr. Laksana Trihandoko, Chairman of National Research and Innovation Agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Budiastuti Ontowirjo. So, as some delegate, before we continue, we would like to invite you on the stage today to receive a token of appreciation. The first ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, Mr. Sujiro Sim, Head of Science and Technology Division ASEAN Secretariat, Dr. Zurina Mokhtar, the Director of RIKAN Center for Computational Science, Professor Satoshi Matsuoka, and Team Leader already, Mr. Aldo Del Arecia. And please kindly join us at the front stage, and please Dr. Budiastuti Ontowirjo to give a token of appreciation to all speakers. And give applause. Okay, give applause again to ladies and gentlemen. And the next, Director of RIKAN Center for Computational Science, Professor Satoshi Matsuoka. Okay, give applause. And the last, Team Leader already, Mr. Aldo Del Arecia. And continue for all the speaker and the head of the European Union and ASEAN and BRIN, I will invite you in front of the stage and we'll have a photo session. Please, Mr. to all photo session and to all. Okay. I will invite the head of the European Union and ASEAN and BRIN. I will invite you in front of the stage and we will have a photo session. Please, Mr. Okay, ready? 1, 2, and 3. Once more again. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's continue with the next agenda. For the first session, introduction to the school program, I would like to invite Chair of European Union ASEAN HPC School 2023. Please welcome Dr. Rifki Sadikin.
I will deliver just short, only 5 to 10 minutes introduction to our school program. So please, the slide. So the program actually designed by the program committee consists of consists of several scientists and also people from Indonesia, from ASEAN and Europe, and also from Japan. So we design together the school program. Next. And I will inform about the participants. So the applicants of the school is actually 300 more. And we have reviewing each applicant, and we have right now 82 participants from split to the 3 tracks: computer science, and then earth science and life science. And we have participants from ASEAN countries, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And also for the participants, the female and the male is actually similar, like 36 females and 46 males. I hope everyone already arrived in this KST. And next, I will introduce the program of the school. So the program of the school consists of 6 days. The first day is today, mainly topics on the introductions of the use of, can you open the program? Click. So the first day, after this, we have Professor Satoshi Masoka would talk about the trend of the HPC in this area. Then we have use of Fugaku by Joji Nonaka. And in the evening, we have panelists from ASEAN. Before that, we have AU HPC Paronamic, and also click. And at the end of this day, we will have panelists on the HPC, ASEAN HPC. The second day, we will have, it will be open by the interview with the Turing Award recipients, Dr. Leslie Lamport. Thank you. Cannot open. And please, Ina Shafarina, Ina already prepared some questions. So please, for the participants to open the program and also open the profile of Mr. Leslie Lamport and preparing the interesting question for the next morning. And we followed by the introduction of quantum computing by Professor Jose Ignacio Latorre. And then also introduction of HPC. I hope everyone can join this session because it is introduction for HPC by Professor Heru from Indonesia University. Then also performance analysis and optimization in HPC application by Beth Moore. And then we have introduction of generative AI by Dr. Muhammad Wahid. So in the first 2 days, we have plenary sessions, and we'll conduct it in the first floors in the class B. And then in the Wednesday and Thursday, we have parallelization of the 3 parallel. First for life science, focusing on biomolecular modeling. And then the second track is earth science, focusing on climate science and urgent computing. And the third track is computer science, focusing on parallel programming. So in Friday, we have panel on the educational and research opportunities in Europa, in Japan, and in BRIN. So I suggest you to not leave before Saturday. And then after that, we will have closing ceremony in the Friday evening. But in the Saturday, it is actually very interesting day because we have a program to visit Mahameru, HPC managed by BRIN, and then we have some introduction on the futures ASEAN HPC centers. And we close the program by excursions to the Bogor Botanical Garden, the oldest botanical garden in Southeast Asia. And the tours will be interesting because we will visit some of the collection there, and I think the most interesting one is the orchids collections at the Kebun Raya Bogor Botanical Garden. And then we close the school by having lunch together at the Kebun Raya in the secret garden. So I think that's the introduction for the program. Thank you very much. See you in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rifki Sadikin. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first speaker, I would like to invite Professor Satoshi Matsuoka from the Director of Riken Center for Computational Science, Japan. Please welcome Professor Satoshi Matsuoka. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here in Indonesia. And as a continuation of last year's school, which was extremely successful in Thailand, and we had, a tremendous number of applicants, of which we had to be very selective, and we picked 70 or plus students, and they came after a week. Everybody became an HPC expert. We hope to repeat or even improve upon a program we had last year with, again, deep collaboration between the European Union and Japan, and also, of course, ASEAN, to enable this school, which not only is unprecedented in terms of the caliber of talents, I think, that we incubate, but also unprecedented in terms of this very broad global international collaboration that happened between the three regions of the world. Now, European Union and Japan has a very deep relationship. In fact, there's a free trade agreement. So anything that moves back and forth between Europe and Japan are under this free trade agreement, except with two things. Can anybody guess what they are? There are only two items that has a tariff. There are only two things that has a tariff. One is export from Japan to Europe. Those are automotives. Okay, so there's a small tariff which has not been made zero, but will go down to zero at some point. From Europe to Japan is cheese, okay? Because there's always been great demand for European cheese, but Japanese farmers were being protected. But now these tariffs are being lowered, which is great for me because I love European cheese. Okay? But other than that, this collaboration between Europe and Japan has been ongoing for many years, especially in the field of HPC. And now, with the school, we're hoping that this region, the HPC interests with digital innovation, as was mentioned, are growing very rapidly. But all of you will be in the forefront. You are mostly either PhD students or early career scientists. Maybe some are mid-career, but all aspiring to make contribution to your society. And this school is basically a boot camp, okay? It's a boot camp. We already know that you are very good at your discipline. You are the best. You have been cherry-picked from the best in ASEAN. You're the best scientists in your generation. But you're here because we need to train you to be the best scientists with HPC capabilities in just 5 days. Think of how many years you've trained yourself to become a scientist, right? Years. And we're hoping we achieved a similar level of proximity in just 5 days. And that's why it's a boot camp, okay? So I know it's challenging. I know that it'll be very hard, but it'll be very enlightening and will help your career. Also, you'll make many connections with your peers, of course, but also the instructors here are the best. They're also the best scientists from both Europe and Japan. They have had years of experience, including me, working with supercomputers. So it's best to establish those connections, okay, in the next coming 5 days, so that you'll have these face-to-face recognition and also aspire to work, not only to work here, but also have the possibility to work maybe in some of the excellent European institutions like Barcelona Supercomputing Center, but also places like RICAN, where we have our big supercomputer that you'll be using. And these centers, Europe and Japan, are, of course, the best places, one of the best places to enhance your scientific experiences. Okay? So with that, I'd like to start my talk and try to keep it simple and compact, but we'll see. Do I have a clicker, or how do I change the slides? Okay, so next slide. Does it work? Okay, so it's kind of small. Okay, no, you've gone too far. You got to go back one. Okay, thank you. So I come from, I'm the director of RICAN Center for Computational Science. Of course, RICAN itself is a big national lab in Japan. It's the biggest and the best national lab in Japan. And this I say with confidence. It's like in Europe, it's very much like, it's very similar to Max Planck Institute in Europe, in that we have various branches of sciences. We work very extensively with the universities. Many of our researchers or the heads of research are also universities, top university professors as well. I'm a professor at Tokyo Institute of Technology as well still. But RICAN has 13 centers, research centers, and we are one of them. And at the same time, we are a national HPC center. Okay, we are the national HPC center. So we work very closely with the government, with the Ministry of Education, Science, Sports, Culture, Science and Technology, to be the leadership center for doing HPC research, and also to apply the result of research into building some of the world's most capable supercomputers, and not just the hardware, but software, the algorithms, the applications, methodologies, and so forth. Okay, so we're the national center. Okay? But what do we do? But what do we mean when we say we do computational science? We're the computational science center. So we break it down to like 3 elements. We break it down into 3 elements, and we say we do the science of computing. We also do science by computing, and we also do science for computing. And if you ever had education in American history, you know which American president I'm paraphrasing. Okay. So, but what do we mean by that? Okay, so what we mean science of computing. This is computer science. I saw, well, at least, and those in the high end, and I saw that like 1/3 of you are taking a track in computer science related to HPC. Okay, so this is exactly what some of us do, including me. I'm a trained computer scientist. Now, so we do things like think about these ultra-fast CPUs and network and new software, numerical algorithms, and so forth. But usually, most computer science departments in universities just end at that. And whatever they do otherwise is just testing your stuff on some test applications. Okay, that's what for universities, that's the most case. But in our case, it's different. In HPC, it's different. Because the computational power we obtain by research, we now will use it to drive innovations in other scientific disciplines, like biology, like environmental science, like medicine, like material science, in manufacturing, and also in basic sciences. Okay? So, and a lot of the lecturers, both from Europe and Japan, are experts at that. Although there are experts in those domain disciplines, like let's say like chemistry, but they also have significant skills. They're not professional computer scientists, but they have expert skills in applying the results of computer science and expanding it to make breakthrough innovations in new science. And that's really important. And traditionally this has been mostly in computing, but nowadays it involves many other facets of computing, including instrumentation, data acquisition, and most importantly, artificial intelligence. Okay. So there are a lot of science, and part of my talk will be how AI will innovate the science, the way we do science. Okay. And third is science for computing. That is, other scientific disciplines, let's say like brain science or quantum physics, affecting advances in computing. For example, in brain science, it'll be neuromorphic computing. In quantum physics, it's quantum computing. So, and the synergy of all three of them, okay? So it's not just doing on computing, not just doing applications, not just doing, quantum physics, but it's a combination of all three, and have a center that expands and also unifies all three disciplines will allow dramatic advances in computing for the future. And that's exactly what we do. Okay? Next slide, please. And we have teams we have various teams back to implement this. It's not working? Oh, it's very slow. So we have various teams. These are the team leaders. We have many people. Oh, do I conclude my talk now? Oh, okay. What should I do? Yes, okay. Yeah, I've been notified that the ambassador here needs to leave, so I'll do a momentary interruption. Okay, sorry. Oh, no problem. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure. Okay, apologies, momentary lapse. Okay, so we have many people, and many supercomputing centers are also structured like this. They have computer science teams. They have people, also a lot of teams working applications. These are top-tier people. And again, you can seek employment.
Recording stopped.
I'll wait. Okay. So, so we can get, so if you, once you're out of this boot camp, you may want to seek employment in, like.
Recording in progress.
Did I say something wrong? You can seek employment as a postdoc, as a researcher with us, or any of the, European centers. Next slide, please. Okay, so what's Fugaku? So you'll be using Fugaku for during your boot camp. So what's Fugaku? Well, Fugaku is Mount Fuji. So I don't know, maybe some of you have traveled to Japan and have seen this mountain in person, or even climbed it. I wonder if anybody has climbed Mount Fuji. But if you ever have seen it, or even at least seen a photo, you'll know that it's a very beautiful standalone mountain. But Fugaku, so Fugaku is an alternative name in Japanese for Mount Fuji. But we named our supercomputer Fugaku as a result of research because it signifies our idealism towards supercomputing. And this is very important for you because your skills that you learn today will not be applicable just to very small sliver discipline, but very broad. And so what we try to do is to build our idealism for a supercomputer is to try to build a machine that's not only very high performance, Mount Fuji is the tallest mountain in Japan, it's 3,776 meters high, but also has a very broad base. Now, supercomputers in Japan used to be that it was more like Tokyo Tower or Eiffel Tower or whatever the equivalent. Very tall, but very narrow. But modern times, that's not enough. So you need these machines to be very broadly applicable, has very wide user base, used across many scientific and other disciplines, have many applications, etc. Okay, so you need all these properties, along with the fact that it needs to be high performance. So our idealism, that these two properties will be satisfied simultaneously. This was a concept, and this concept exists since the late 2000s. Right? So it's not just for Fugaku alone, but when we named our new machine after this concept. Next slide, please. Okay, but why do we do? But why do nations, build these big supercomputers? Why does EU invest? Why does Japan invest? Why does US invest? Why does China invest? Okay, and why is ASEAN now wanting to invest in this? Well, there are two reasons. One is, of course, there's a claim that there are companies like Google and Amazon and so forth. They're buying their machines. Why is the government spending the public sector money? Well, that's because we're dealing with technology that's really hard. Right, to make advances, and it's also very risky. So, or you need it. Maybe in the U.S. there are some big companies, but other regions of the world we don't have the likes of Google. So the government really needs to invest because no single commercial entity has the ability to take the risk to invest in these advanced technologies. Okay, it's like going to the moon or building a fusion nuclear reactor. So even Fugaku, we had a partner, Fujitsu, but even Fujitsu clearly admits that without, they could not have built Fugaku on their own. Okay, it would have been too risky. But also, it has a very extremely high return on investment, and that's the nature of digital revolution. So had we built Fugaku out of commodity components, right? Let's say we go to Intel, buy their CPUs, then the machine would have cost 3 times as much in the first place. And I will allude to later, the return on investment you get from the outcome of these machines are orders of magnitude greater than the investment. Okay, so societal good, okay, societal impact, impact to the society, impact to the industry, impact to people, are orders of magnitude compared to investment. And Fugaku is a machine that had cost more than $1 billion to build and operate so far. But we'll get more than order of magnitude return, okay, out of the investment. But again, without having the talents to use them, like yourselves, okay, all this investment to hardware will go nowhere. So that's why we are also investing in people, okay, not just the machine, but people. With the combined investment, we get orders of magnitude return. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so that's Fugaku. It's a very large machine. Can you click one more? So it's very, so physically, it's almost impossible to capture. Can you click once more, please? Yeah, so that's our data center. So the machine is more than 3,000 square meters in footprint. So it's the size of half a football field. Has 432 cabinets. Okay, each cabinet containing about 384 compute nodes. So in total, there are 158,976 compute nodes, about 160,000 nodes. Okay, in total. And each node contains 48 compute cores. So if you do the math, the entire machine contains about 8 million ARM cores. It's pretty amazing that people can program this machine, but people can't and use them. The machine uses about 16 megawatts in production. It can use up to 30, more than 30, if everything runs under certain circumstances, but usually it chugs along at around 16, which seems like a lot. 60 megawatts is a lot of electricity. 60 megawatts is like it's almost the Tokyo Disney Resort, if you've ever been to it. Right? But the entirety of Tokyo Disney Resort. But they shut down at night. We operate 24/7. Okay? But when you come to think of it, when you have 160,000 nodes, it's only 100 watts per node, or about a light bulb. So it's a very power efficient machine. And it's very important to build these machines to be extremely power efficient, or you'll not be able to scale to this magnitude. Okay? That was another reason we had to build it ourselves, to design the chips and had to design the machine ourselves, because modern day processors are very power hungry. If you take a look, if you have any servers in your lab, okay, those servers will be using 300 watts, 400 watts, 500 watts. And each of these servers are pretty much equivalent to one of our nodes. Okay? Imagine having 160,000 of them, each using 300 watts, 400 watts. That's like 50 megawatts, go up to 100 megawatts. You need a power station. You need a entire power station to drive the machine. Okay? But I only use 16, and that's because we are at 100 watts, despite the fact we have very similar capabilities. And that's one of the most advanced technologies we had to deploy in order to make our machine come true. Next slide, please. And it took about 10 years to build. So, it's long-term planning. So even before our last machine, previous generation machine, K-Computer, was just about being commissioned, we started our design work on Fugaku. It's a long-term time planning. It took about 10 years to design and build, but now it's been in operation for the past 3 years. Next slide, please. And so, that's the processor, and that's it's a collaboration between Fujitsu and ourselves. And I said simultaneous satisfaction of high performance and generality, and that's easy to say. It's very easy to say, but very hard to get done, right? Because think of a car, an automobile, okay? You can build a supercar, okay? Like a Ferrari or certain Porsches or like Lamborghinis. You can build a supercar, okay? But can you go, let's say build a Lamborghini, but can you go to a supermarket with a Lamborghini? Well, it's very hard. You might, it's a very fast car, but will not load lots of luggage. It'll probably scrape the floor, etc., on the curb. So what would you go to a supermarket with? Well, with your family car, maybe a Toyota, a good Toyota. But they're not as fast as Lamborghini because they're general purpose. And that's engineering. It's very difficult to build something that's extreme high performance, but also have high generality. You always have to make these engineering compromises. So it was a challenge to build something that has both generality and extreme high performance going beyond what Intel can do, for example, at the same time. So, but we did that. And so this chip, H4FX, is very general purpose. It's ARM, each of the core is a high performance ARM core. It can run any application that will run on your smartphone. It can run, Microsoft has booted Windows. It can run PowerPoint. Right? It's very general. However, it's high performance and also very low power. It can be up to 3 times more power efficient at the same execution speed as a Xeon. Okay? And we take, like I said, we take 160,000 of these and we construct our machine. So, but put this in context. So how much is Fugaku, what's the size of Fugaku if you built it out of a smartphone? Okay, how many smartphones do you need to build Fugaku? And if you do the benchmark, the answer will be about 20 million. 20 million smartphones. And 20 million smartphones is about the same number of smartphones that are sold annually in Japan. Okay? So that means that if you have a few of these machines, Fugaku, that will satisfy the entire IT needs of Japan. Not just computing, supercomputing, IT needs of Japan. And Japan is still the 3rd largest economy in the world. Okay? That's how big these exascale supercomputers are. And that's what you'll be using. And that's what, not just during this boot camp, these are the types of machines you may be using in your career. Okay? Think about that. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are all the geek numbers. One thing, and I won't belabor you with too much. But one thing that's we have one of the innovations we have done is not just to build a processor, but also to put the interconnect inside the chip. So if you ever have an opportunity to visit Japan and visit Fugaku, okay, you can take a tour. You need to warn us in advance. You cannot come the next day and tell us. You need to let us well in advance, but you're very welcome to come. You'll see that there are no network switches in the system. Because usually when you have like a cloud data center, you have a whole bunch of switches, right? Not just the compute nodes, but the switches. Because network is the most important part, along with the compute nodes, most important elements of a supercomputer design. So you see a whole bunch of servers, but then you see a whole bunch of cables, and you see a whole bunch of these switches. In Fugaku, you see no switches. Why is that? Well, that's because the switches are embedded inside the chips themselves. Okay? that gives you utmost high performance and also scalability, because we need the machine to scale to 160,000 nodes. So one of the answer was to embed the network not only the network interface, but also the high performance network switch inside the chip, the processor chip. And there are no other chips that do that right now. Okay? So you can think of Fugaku as having 160,000 CPUs. But also you can think of it as a machine that's 160,000 network switches. Okay? And each network port having 400 gigabits. So it's a massive network. How big is the network? Well, if you take the network capability of Fugaku, that it will engulf all the cloud data centers in the world by a factor of 10, including those by Amazon, Google, and so forth. That's the magnitude, again, of the network we're talking about. Okay? Next slide, please. And that's how the machine looks. And we have a whole bunch of these racks. Next slide, please. And I'll skip this. Next slide, please. Okay, so Fugaku is like #1 in many of the rankings. This is somewhat old. With the latest result that was announced, we got a little down on the top 500 ranking. We're still #1 in some of the other rankings in the world, supercomputer rankings in the world. But Fugaku was never designed to excel in these rankings. We're #1 across the board like a couple of years ago. The US machine frontier came about and became #1 in some of the metrics. And you might think, it's like Olympics, gold medal, silver medal, so forth. But that's not the important factor. The important factor is not this. Fugaku was never designed to be #1 in any of the rankings. That was not the objective. Next slide, please. So then what was the objective of Fugaku? How did we design the machine? Well, we designed the machine to excel at these important applications that are of high concern to the society, like SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals, and so forth. Areas like health and medicine, environmental science, earth sciences, climate, energy, carbon neutral, things like manufacturing, okay, and industry applications, and of course basic science, okay? So those are the areas we deemed as extremely important where supercomputers can make these innovations, scientific breakthroughs. And the goal was to excel by at least almost 2 orders of magnitude compared to our previous machine. And why 2 orders of magnitude? Well, we also did an analysis. All the domains did analysis and wrote a white paper that said, if we make these performance breakthroughs in these areas, then we can make actual scientific breakthroughs of this. So it was all planned. Okay? It was planned, okay, we have a machine that's 100 times faster, we can achieve these scientific breakthroughs. And that's how the machine was designed, okay? To achieve scientific breakthroughs to benefit the society. Nothing else, okay? Next slide, please. Okay, let's skip this. Next slide, please. Oh, this is a compare. Okay, so, again, these are geek numbers. So Fugaku is in operation for the last 3 years. And we did collaborate a lot, collaborate with the ASEAN organizations, ASEAN HPC, collaborate a lot with Singapore. We're hoping we just signed an agreement with Thailand. We're hoping we will sign an agreement with Indonesia as well. And Fugaku is available for use internationally. So after this boot camp, you can apply for time. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so let me talk very briefly about some of the scientific innovations. So COVID was mentioned. So, just as Fugaku was being brought up, been late 2019, early 2020, we all remember what happened, right? It was COVID basically went rampant. So we had a hell of a time trying to bring up the machine because there were supply chain problems. People were confined to homes, and, everywhere in the world because it's a huge supply chain to build these machines. But we were able to do it, so we didn't really delay our deployment by much, maybe like a week or so. A lot of heroics that was done, but machine was from the first rack coming in to the last rack coming in for installation only took about 6 months. However, we also saw this as an opportunity where supercomputers can help to mitigate, to solve the COVID crisis. And the applications that were being developed for Fugaku, okay, so we had a program where we weren't not just building machines. And this is very important for our funding agencies. Don't just support the machines, support the science, okay? Okay. So the program we had was we had various science teams work on innovating their applications to cope with machines that will be 2 orders of magnitude faster to do their sciences. So their applications and sciences will be ready when the machine was ready in 2019 and 2020, okay? So the machine R&D that we were doing was progressing. At the same time, all the science teams were doing, developing applications, running it on small machines and doing the scientific predictions and all that to meet up exactly when the machine would be deployed. That was exactly how the program were being run. Guess what happens? COVID happens. What would you do? Machines there. Applications are there. The science is there. So I said, okay, let's have these scientists repurpose their applications so that they can fight COVID. Because there are a lot of applications that they were building that could be repurposed beautifully. All the way down from materials, at the material, at least, especially at the quantum chemistry level. So there was one work, one of the big science teams. They were trying to see how the COVID viruses have different bonding strength to the human targets. And these were not very subtle because there's a very subtle interaction of Coulomb forces, which could even be repellent. Right? Could be attraction, but it could be repellent. And then there was a van der Waals forces, okay? But these change with a very intricate structure of a very complicated, highly complicated molecules, proteins on both sides. So that was being calculated. So there was work to do that, and we needed thousands or even tens of thousands of Fugaku nodes to compute this. All the way, and there were lots of molecular types of investigation, but there were also more macroscopic type of investigation to mitigate COVID, because we knew that COVID was being transferred through air. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay. So one particular work was at the molecular level. This was work done by Professor Dr. Okuno, who is a professor at Kyoto University. Also, he's one of our team. He's a division director at our center, doing pharmaceutical HPC AI research division. So his work at the time was trying to come up with candidate drugs that would be that are already existing, already approved for other purposes, but repurposed for fighting COVID. So he had to do this very rapid but also very accurate screening of all these approved pre-approved drugs to see if they would be effective as COVID drug, as cure for COVID. Next slide. So this is also got animation. You can click that. So it was very, very heavyweight computation on a previous K computer. Can you click actually? Click on the video. It's a video. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So this is so it was very I would say very heavyweight computation on a K computer or previous machine, just filtering through over 2,000 drugs in a very high precision screening process would have taken over a year. But on Fugaku, we got more than 100 times speed up. So the screening can be done in about 2-3 days. Okay. Next slide. So you can see the actual drug go into the pocket. So these are like over 2,000 drugs that we plot. And the way you see this plot is the higher up to the right-hand side, more effective drugs. And you can see very few drugs are actually useful. Most drugs are useless. But there are a few drugs. One such drug was niclosamide, which is used actually in Southeast Asia, in places like India, where there are still, problems and parasites in waters that use it, and also in Africa as antiparasitic drugs. But they were found to be extremely effective, a potential to be extremely effective against COVID. So these antiparasitic drugs would be effective against COVID. Who would think that? Also, there were some drugs. One particular drug was famotidine, which is actually a drug used to when you have like stomach pain, when you have a stomach condition. It's a blocker. And this was actually over-the-counter, non-prescriptive drug. So we were explicitly asked not to reveal the identity of this drug, because otherwise people would go rush to the drugstore and just buy them up. But this was actually a drug that was given to the previous U.S. president, whom I shall not name, but got COVID early on. So that was one of the drugs they administered to him. And he's alive. Looks like he'll be running for the next election, so the drug may have worked. Okay? Next slide, please. Next, please. But the other thing, it's not changing. Okay. But the other thing was the how to prevent transmission. And for that, we had a team led by Makoto Tsubakura, and they were doing research on high precision, ultra high resolution computational fluid dynamics. Okay? And they were targeting things like vehicle dynamics, combustion in turbine engines, also like airflows in cities. Okay? So we're very versatile, but could handle multi-billions of degrees freedom CFD. And this included not only the computation itself. If anybody of you have done CFD in these types of settings, generating these meshes for CFD would take weeks for high-resolution imaging. Okay? So sometimes it takes more time to generate the meshes than do the actual compute. Okay? So one thing they were doing was internal ICE, or internal combustion engine, as you see on the left-hand side corner. Okay? Can you click on that, the engine? Animation of the engine? Yeah, on the engine. Yeah, okay. No, not that. On the left. Yeah. So that was one application area they were looking at. Okay? So if you know internal combustion engine, you have the cylinder, you have the piston, goes back and forth. But then there's a fuel injector that would inject the fuel, gasoline or diesel. We sprayed, and then this spray with this aerosols will travel through the air, evaporate, mix with air, and then you ignite it, and explodes and generate energy. One of the researchers, and by the way, he was one of the Indian researchers working at RIKEN. So he was, because of his contributions, he was granted the opportunity to meet up with the Japanese emperor when he visited and directly speak to the emperor and empress. So he was very proud. I was very proud as well. So he noticed, Rahul, he noticed that the physics of injectors is exactly the same as someone coughing, someone speaking in a loud voice, or someone singing karaoke, which some people, including me, would love to do. That would be spraying aerosols that are virus-ridden. And these will travel, and some of the microparticles would travel, stagnate in the air for more than a few hours. And that's how exactly the transmissions were occurring. If you remember, during the early days of COVID, even the American CDC was saying, no, it's not worthwhile wearing masks, because we don't know how it's being transmitted. Come on, it's obvious. It was aerosol transmission. But why couldn't the virologists or epidemiologists say so? Because they were not sure. Why were they not sure? Because they lacked the experimental facility, okay, or the simulation capability to prove this. And Furaku came coincidentally just in time to prove this, but also at the same time create hundreds of thousands digital twins of these infection situations and these transmission situations to allow the society to cope with this by mitigating the risks in this various societal situations where transmissions occur. Next slide, please. So what the team did was to work very hard, but also to create all these digital scenarios, digital twins in the virtual space, and of course would hook it up with real space. But of anywhere from like wearing masks or not, they bought hundreds of masks and tested it, and created a digital twin of masks and shields too. Also, people worried, like, can they be on trains? Okay, on trains, a source of transmission, or restaurants. All the restaurants were shut down in many countries, but like in Japan, they were still open. But how do we mitigate the risks of restaurants? When the schools start to open, how do we mitigate the risks in classrooms? The ministry came and asked us, how can we mitigate the risk? Because we can't keep the windows wide open. In summer, Japan is just like this, very hot and humid. And right now it's winter, it's very cold. Okay, so we can't open the windows full blast in either of those two seasons. Right? But then if we keep the windows shut and the doors shut, there'll be, all the kids will get infected. How do we stop that? So all these questions, we worked extensively with the epidemiologists and virologists, again, to create a very accurate digital twin. And then say, well, if you take these mitigation steps, that we can quantitatively reduce the transmission risk such that there will be the societal widespread transmission of COVID can be controlled. And we work with the government directly, many agencies. We work with companies like airline companies, transportation companies like train companies, Toyota, or car companies like Toyota. We work with Boeing, with Japan Airlines. We work with restaurants. We work with Suntory. It has lots of restaurants to try to mitigate these risks. Next slide. And we create over 2,000 of these digital twins. And when we create these digital twins, we do a monthly, almost a monthly regular press conference, and hundreds of mass media would flock to the press conference. And as soon as we make these announcements, okay, right now the travel is being reopened. People are not going to travel. Okay, but here are some of the steps people will have to take in order to mitigate the risks. Like, airplanes are safe, but wear a mask, obviously, and don't lean your seats, for example. Taxis are fine, but one thing we found with taxis were that it was not very effective to roll down your window under city traffic conditions, because it does not create sufficient airflow. Rather, it helps to close the window, but turn the air conditioning with external incoming air with recirculation full blast. Okay? That really helps quantitatively. And then as soon as we announced it, all the taxis in Japan started closing their windows. Okay? That sort of impact we had. So as soon as we have this press conference in the afternoon, all the TV stations will be carrying results. This is the latest results from Fugaku. And we have ministers coming up on TV saying, we endorse the result. Newspapers, web media, it's all over. And people read it. Not only people will read it, they will trust us, okay, with the result. Okay? They think, it's almost we're honored because they think these digital twins are the scientific facts. Okay, next slide, please. And then we also did, okay, so we were very effective, but what's the effect on the economy? Because at the end of the day, it's always a trade-off between how much you shut down the society. It's a trade-off between health risks, societal health risks, versus sustaining the economy. And Japan, out of the G7 nations, had the lowest death rate, but had the lowest downturn in the economy during COVID, because we had the most relaxed shutdown. Because constitutionally we couldn't, but also some of the things we did helped to keep the restaurants open, to keep the shops open, helped keep people mobile. So we did a very accurate estimation of the economic impact. So basically we created a digital twin of the societal economy and assessed what was the impact, what would have been the impact of full lockdown versus the lightweight lockdown. And it was trillions of yen. Okay? Trillions of yen. So this really showed us that, of course, we were not the only people doing this, but we helped nonetheless. And we helped how computing can help societal crisis. Okay? So now when you ask a Japanese citizen, do you know what Fugaku is? What's Fugaku? And 70%, 70% of the people they were polled, know what Fugaku is. OSAP big machine in Kobe. 70%. It's the second most well-known scientific artifact in Japan. Second only to our deep probe space that went to to the asteroid belt and recovered recovered rocks. Okay. So So we're quite proud of the achievement and the impact we have had. Next slide, please. Okay, we'll skip that. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Here, I'll talk very briefly about climate, weather. So what we did was to combine our high-resolution global-scale climate and weather prediction capability with data collection, data assimilation. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yep. So, weather is very important. And now the weather community now have this new weapon called phase array radar. So what's phase array radar? Well, it's a weather radar, but can scan more than 100 frequencies simultaneously. Okay, not just a single wavelength, but radar wavelength, but multiple hundreds of wavelengths with different types of cloud penetration properties. Okay, so the radar operates 24/7. So there's a huge incoming streams of gigabytes of data that's emitted from the radar, and the radar can cover 50 to 100 kilometers radius. So what we have done is to run our high-resolution weather forecast on Fugaku using about almost 10,000 nodes on Fugaku. Then we would assimilate that with our observation to make this constant trajectory correction. And we will try to do high-resolution simulation about 30 minutes ahead of time. And then we get this forecast, which we will broadcast in a geo-correct way, in a geo-specialized way. Because everybody has a smartphone. So you want your personal weather data. What's your weather going to be in 30 minutes? And this was done. So this massive simulation of weather on Fugaku, this massive incoming data of hundreds of wavelengths incoming from our weather radar, assimilated in real time at 30-second interval. And then the corrected forecast be multicasted to the entire society. Everybody who subscribed with their smartphone app. And this was to be used for Tokyo Olympics because, because we want, it's going to be hot or rainy or whatever. And we want people to, run for cover or protect themselves from heat. Unfortunately, with COVID, Tokyo Olympics happened without spectators, so didn't quite work out, but yeah. But the system is there. And this, next slide, please. So this was a Gordon Bell finalist for this year. Next slide. Yeah, but this also shows that these massive supercomputers are subject to real-time societal, is valuable as a real-time societal infrastructure, not just ephemeral resource for scientists to use in batch. Okay? So this ran almost for 4 weeks actually, because it was the Olympics and Paralympics. We did the experiments anyhow. But to run such a massive supercomputer 24/7 for a sustained period of over 4 weeks, about 4 weeks, was a big challenge. Okay? But we did that nonetheless. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Okay, next slide. And we can do, again, just like COVID, we can also do what if. Okay, it's okay. So it was very successful. Can we extend this to the entire country? If we do, how many radars would we need? Okay. So we did a virtual experiment of placing this time a virtual radar. So for the last one, we had a real radar, but we did it by creating a virtual radar in virtual space and creating virtual weather. and then seeing the optimal configuration of the layout of the radars. And this is, as you can see, in Kyushu region. And so it turns out we need about 20 radars. So if I had 20 radars, we can do accurate forecast within 500 meters, every 500 meters for the entire island. So, Indonesia also being very much like Japan, consisting of many islands, can also benefit from technologies like this if there's a need to do very accurate weather forecasts throughout the country. And very important for things like farming and also transportation. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so with that, we commissioned Hyperion Research, which is one of the two major consulting firms in HPC, and asked them, okay, so how much, oops, go back one slide. How much is Fugaku worth? And they did a very detailed analysis and came back with a report. Okay, so Fugaku did cost more than $1 billion to build and operate. But the return on investment, and this is not us telling, this is not us saying so. This is a very famous company consulting for many, big IT companies also, for like US and European centers and so forth. This is global. They're global. They have all the data. They have the expertise. And they're very objective. So they say the return on investment is almost 2 orders of magnitude greater. That is more about $100 billion was the return on investment. So when we spend more than $1 billion, but we get back more than $100 billion, that's a good deal, right? It's a very good deal. So that gives us a confidence, again, that investment in the area to help the society, okay? To enable the society, to enable the industry with these innovative, not just to conduct advanced, a little fast as the basic science, but to advance sciences as a societal infrastructure, okay? For solving crises, for solving these weather, for helping the industry, has a huge impact. But again, by you all becoming experts with the boot camp, you'll be part of that. Okay? Next slide. I'm running out of time, so that's my final slide. I'm sorry I can't really be telling details of AI for science, but you'll get plenty of AI lectures during the week. Okay, next slide. Just a word on what we're doing next. Okay. So we still do, so there's of and by. Okay. Science of something and science by. So we will still continue our science of HPC. We are, right now, we have already, just as we had started the project to think about our next machine even before our Fugaku was commissioned, we have already started work on our next machine, which will be very good, hopefully, which will be deployed maybe 27, 28 in our current plan, maybe a little later, but 28, 5 years from now. It will be yet another groundbreaking machine. It will not just be components slapped together, it'll be a groundbreaking machine. And, yeah, but I don't have time to talk about it today. There'll be significant investment into science by HPC with this. One thing I can tell you is the biggest impediment to performance today is memory bandwidth. Okay? Now, it's not compute, it's memory. So the next big goal is to enhance this memory performance by order of magnitude. And this is performance per watt, not just simple performance. You can build a GPU with 5 times the memory bandwidth, but if it uses 5 times more power, then we're back to square one. We can't have that. It has to be the same power, but 5 times the performance. And our aim is to work with various companies, including those in the US, and maybe in Europe, but predominantly in the US, and maybe South Korea, but again, predominantly US, and maybe Taiwan, to make a breakthrough in memory performance. Because most of the HPC applications and even deep learning. Why does it have a Japanese message? I don't know. So to make a breakthrough in memory performance is one of our big targets, but then we may have to change the algorithms, change the programming model, so forth. So it's not just hardware, it's a huge software effort. AI for science will be our next big target. Science will change because of AI. The way we do science will change. Scientists will be out of their jobs because of AI, just like any other intelligent office worker. That's our goal, okay? Well, it's not a true goal. We want to free the scientists from doing mundane stuff, right? And have scientists focus on more creative stuff. We don't want scientists pumping pivots or writing simulation code. We want AI to do that. Okay? But we need ways to accelerate AI, and of course we all know that modern AI has been accelerated due to HPC. Okay? So we work on that to do further acceleration. But again, we believe the acceleration will be in memory and not compute. And of course, it's all the AI will enable by all the sciences will enable by the incorporation of advanced AI methods like creating new substances. In fact, we already do that. Most of our application teams now do AI almost without exception. Or we are writing our white paper on AI for science. And all the science teams running on Fugaku volunteer, because they are already doing AI for science work on Fugaku. And you'll find some of that in your lectures. And quantum. We also will be pushing the forefronts of quantum technology combined with HPC. And RIKEN has a quantum science center, computing center. Our job will be to facilitate our platform with additional quantum capabilities and make it easy to program that will enable some parts of HPC replaced by quantum. Not only small portion, unfortunately, theoretically, but still those are important areas, especially areas like material science and some nuclear physics. It is amenable to be replaced by quantum. But we need to accelerate that because we're hitting the limits. Things like CFD and stuff, they'll never be replaced. But there are certain areas where quantum will benefit, but needs to be converged with HPC. So those are the things we're working on. If after this boot camp you're interested, okay, please come away, or please come to Barcelona or ULIC, other excellent centers. And hopefully we can work together to create a better society, and you guys will be at the center, because by that time, maybe people like Fab and I will be retired. Probably not, but we'll see. Thank you very much.
Okay, dear viewers, and thank you Professor Satoshi Matsuoka. Please be seated again. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end on opening ceremony for our ASEAN HPC School 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read you pantun. Siang hari makan kuaci, makan bareng sama Ibu Asih. Cukup sekian acara hari ini, saya ucapkan banyak terima kasih. Buah semangka, buah beri, dicampur madu enak sekali. Mari kita akhiri opening ceremony kali ini. Semoga bertemu di lain hari. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For the information to excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next session, we will now take a coffee break. Food stalls are set up outside the room on this first floor. And please note that the break will be 10 minutes only. Enjoy the snack and coffee provided. And to all participants to return back to the room in this receptionist. Thank you. And the next agenda on this first floor. Thank you.
Tadi bikin kaget, saya juga nggak kepikiran.
Laptop siapa ya?